Warriors, friends, family members, hello everybody. How is everybody doing out there? You are listening to the Anxiety Guy podcast. This is episode number 317. Whether you're listening on a podcast directory or on YouTube, I am grateful for your time, your attention. Let's do this, my friends. Let's go beyond anxiety together. Head over to theanxietyguy.com today if you want to learn more about the Health Anxiety Program. 12 Weeks to Freedom begins today at theanxietyguy.com. And today we're talking about something that we don't really realize much as we're going through our days. We're talking about your default emotional state. Dennis, why is it important to recognize my default emotional state? Well, the biggest reason for why it's important is because whether your default emotional state is more so on the positive side of the scale or on the negative side of the scale, it doesn't matter. That is safety to your subconscious mind, inner child. So many times, we tend to feel safe within our anxiety disorders. We tend to feel safe within our pessimism. We tend to feel safe within our victim-like run lives. So what we need to understand is that we have to break the habit of this safety connected to the negative side if in fact we are going to overcome our anxiety and transform into a new identity, my friends. Many of us today, are realizing, and this is so great to see, sort of a side topic here, but it's so great to see so many warriors out there realizing that there's nothing wrong with them, right? Yes, they may default to this negative emotional state and worry and anxiety, therefore safety. But they're realizing now that these are patterns, these are habits, these are based on memory. These are past experiences living out today in the present time. I commend you. I really commend you for taking on this journey with me and realizing now that these are things that you can overcome, you can overturn. So a couple words of inspiration there for everybody. And I want to give you some examples of default emotional states. And I want you to tune in and really be honest with yourself and say, you know what, that sounds like me, okay? Along with these default emotional states that I'm going to refer to, I'm going to give you the main reason for each and every one of them coming from my own experience and working with people for the last dozen years, my friends. Irritability. Irritability. Some of you are going, yep, before I even say the word, yep, irritability. And again, no guilt needed, okay? We're working through these things, my friends. Irritability at the deepest level means I'm lacking certainty in my life and I don't want to lose more control over my life than I already have. Does this sound like you? And of course, when we talk about these emotional states, these default emotional states that we revert to, we have to understand that we become more vulnerable to these default emotional states the more tired we are, right? The more depleted we are physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever it may be. And again, we can get really down on ourselves and say, this is my life. This isn't your life. This isn't your life. This isn't your identity. No. These are mechanisms that are running within you because when you have those three parts of your brain, the reptilian brain, the mammalian brain, the emotional brain, and the neocortex, the thinking brain, we need to understand that when you suffer from anxiety, the reptile brain, survival, and emotional brain are tag teaming to make everything in your external world look like a threat. in order for you to prepare for that threat that may be in the present or the future. So the neocortex, the thinking brain, isn't getting much action. action. It's not getting much respect. But now, because we're bringing to your awareness some of these things that you've been unaware of, you can start to even out the playing field. Less survival, less emotional, more neocortex. So, is irritability your default emotional state? Well, if it is, then it has everything to do with lacking certainty in your life and losing control, more control over aspects of your life. Internal, external, doesn't matter. Another default emotional state is being fearful and being afraid. And you're going, yeah, Dennis, that's one of the reasons why I'm here listening to this podcast episode. I understand. And at the deepest level, this means I'm not comfortable with the unknown. The uncertainty of not knowing is affecting me. You know, if you look at Buddhism, Taoism, look at all these religions, right? Especially in the East, on the Eastern side, you're going to realize that they discuss uncertainty. They discuss the unknown quite often. And in Buddhism specifically, it refers to the idea that desire is the root of all suffering. And so, if we think about this for a moment, we desire a better life. We desire a better emotional state. We want that thing so badly. We want to feel a sense of inner peace. And we have to ask ourselves the question of, is that desire activating and triggering more suffering within me? Do I need to get to a place where the desire lessens and the faith grows? The desire lessens and the trust grows. Trust in what? Trust in not knowing. Trusting in the unknown. You look at health anxiety sufferers today, and they have to know that their physical health is in fact 100% optimal. Okay? Even when they are told by multiple doctors that they are healthy, they don't believe it. And they revert back to their safe place. Their safe place is the addiction to suffering. It is an addiction, okay? Because they've seen it in their parents, 1, 2. They've seen it in family members. They've seen it in friends. They've seen it within themselves during childhood. That is what is safe. Until it is brought to our awareness that we don't have to be addicted anymore. Another emotional state here that we tend to default to: aggressiveness and rage. Okay? This means I've been done wrong in some way in my life. I never deserved what happened to me. And it's playing out in the present moment. Someone cuts you off the road, right? The husband could be driving the wife to the hospital to give birth, but you never take the time to consider that option. The only option that comes to your mind is the interpretation made by your survival reptilian brain that says, that can't happen. Okay? And so, as we become less angry, we tend to move our emotional states towards neutrality, okay? A more neutral place to be. And a lot of people get afraid when they visit this neutral place. It feels empty to them, right? Really empty, like, wow, this is kind of like a gray area. I'm no longer suffering, but I'm no longer happy. Okay, well, what is this area? Well, that's a place for you to build upon. Okay, so when you do move away from these default emotional states and you move on the ladder of healing, moving up, you're going to be met with a very confusing place. Neutrality. It's fantastic here, right? I no longer desire happiness. And because I no longer desire happiness, I continue to heal myself on a daily basis. I want you to think about that one for a few moments here. Happiness cannot be the goal. Inner peace must be the goal. Therefore, it leads to happiness. Okay? Happiness comes and goes. It's finite. Comes for a bit, then releases. Okay? So, we've touched on some of these negative emotional states. I want to touch on a couple of positive ones. There are many people out there that in fact default to neutrality and being open-minded, which means I see the world through the eyes of compassion, through the lens of compassion, no matter what. And when you are open-minded, you start to understand people better, right? When you have anxiety, you cannot even fathom the idea that somebody else isn't doing you some kind of wrong. Everybody looks like a threat, okay? And we are jealous. We are very, very jealous of the emotional states of others. But we don't know what's going on the inside. We're just guessing. We're guessing based on the interpretations that our reptilian and emotional brains are making. That's not a good way to live, right? That doesn't help humanity. It doesn't help you. And this goes back and forth. When you start to become more compassionate towards yourself, that moves towards others. When you start to become more compassionate towards others, that moves towards you. Life is about balance. This universe is always balancing everything out. Maybe not in the time frame that you'd like it to, but it does in time. Changing this default emotional state is no different than approaching a stranger, my friends. Your survival brain will do everything in its power to pull you away from this new interaction. This is important, okay? What happens when you start to come up with the idea before the behavior of interacting with a stranger? Well, all these defense mechanisms show up, right? Sweating, okay, shakiness, maybe you're seeing them and the environment in a very blurry way. Those are the physical, okay? Mentally, defense mechanisms, don't do it. Don't you remember what happened last time? And communicating with your own inner child, subconscious mind, isn't really that different, right? So here you are, because there are two parts of you, the conscious and the unconscious. Here you are with the conscious side going, hey, unconscious, we need to upgrade these beliefs, okay? What was once true for us is no longer true for us. Well, when you start this interaction, okay, don't be offended, don't be angry by the idea that the interaction isn't going the way you'd like it to. Your inner child is very, very stubborn, okay? And when we understand that, okay, here we are in an anxiety-filled world. How did we get here? Well, we got here through emotion. Emotion, Dennis? Yeah, emotion. It wasn't the interaction with anybody. It wasn't the trauma. It wasn't anything going on the outside. It was the emotions that we felt when those situations were happening. It was the emotional intensity that drew in that memory into our bodies, therefore playing out through instinct in present day. Okay? So if it's emotion that brought us to anxiety, it will be emotion that brings us to inner peace. You understand? Okay? So whatever you do, whatever method you're using, put your heart into it. Trust it. Have faith in it. Okay? Don't just do something for the sake of trying it. I'll try this, I'll try that. Trying doesn't work. Trying equals failing. Don't even bother. I'm committing. I'm putting my heart into this, and I will allow myself to feel, okay, to feel the result of what I am doing for myself. You go on YouTube and you start reframing, and then you hit a plateau, right? right? You kind of like, well, should I really give in? Should I cry? Cry. Okay. Should I shake? Shake. Okay. Physiological purging of those memories. That's what reframing is. Do that YouTube playlist each and every day. It is freedom. Combine it with responding. Okay? F-Coping Start Healing will guide you towards reframing and responding if in fact you are new to this content. But to close off, I want you to know that I've been where you are. So have a lot of other people. What you're dealing with, the challenges on the inside, are no different than what so many other people have and are dealing with. This is a chapter in your life. Learn from it. Thrive because of it. Okay? And make sure that you pinpoint what your default emotional state is and start to get in the way. That simple awareness many times is enough to get in the way. Trust in what you already know, my friends, because you know plenty. You know enough to heal yourself. I love you all from the bottom of my heart. Have a wonderful day, and remember that you are more than anxiety. Subscribe, comment. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.